Chalk pastels and charcoal are very similar in nature. The blocky, big pieces of pastel are a little bit softer. They're a little bit easier to work with. So you may want to, if you're using color, look for these big fat kind of pieces. An easy way to get some media down, see I'm running my fingers over it, is I've kind of got it dusted on my fingers. I'm just going to kind of lightly, without pressing a ton, I just want to put a little bit of a light wash almost of chalk down. If I scrub too much, the heat from my hands is going to push this into the tooth of the paper, and then I'll never be able to pull a whole lot of it off. I do want to get this just a little bit more even for you, so notice I'm switching directions. My pastel isn't perfectly flat, but I would eventually get there. Another thing you can kind of use for this that sounds a little wacky, but it's kind of cool, is if you have a printer at home that uses cartridges that you have to change. Often there still is printer ink left over in the cartridge. Carefully, and on a very large piece of paper, you can kind of shake that cartridge around and it'll drop and powder some of this ink onto your paper, and then you can kind of do the same thing. It's kind of an easier way to blend that way. So what I'm going to do is take this kneaded eraser that I've already gotten pastel all over, rip off a chunk of yours. If you use the whole thing, it'll never be great for a graphite drawing again. But basically I'm going to kind of like start drawing the highlights with the kneaded eraser. So I'm going to pull out the place where I want light to be or to stay. Notice I'm going to keep cleaning the eraser off as I go to use it. If I don't, basically whatever's on here is just going to get smudged back down onto the page. And to transition, I might do that a little bit. So maybe I start to barely take off any media right in through here. Next step would be building up my darks and then kind of smearing or smudging those darks to blend through into that edge. This is another place where I might make use of a Q-tip, especially if my area is tiny and small and my fingers are too big to kind of control it or see what I'm doing. I might grab a Q-tip and kind of use it to sort of sweep that edge around, kind of control where it is I want this to eventually go. Another trick would be to take a cotton ball, kind of stretch that out. Look for a tool that does not have any pencil or pen media sticking out of it, so maybe like the lead is retracted, and I can kind of, you might even rip off a section of the Q-tip, but I can kind of like twirl my Q-tip around, or my cotton ball around, sorry, rather, and kind of use that like I would a pencil. Can kind of do some smoothing that way and control that edge. Some people like to work with this method. Another method would be the old school paper towel. Fold it into quarters. Then I'm going to fold it kind of like a paper airplane. This is one my drawing students do. And then kind of bind it to help hold it. Just fold it around so I kind of have something to hang on to. And then I can come in here and do some more blending. So I'll just add a little bit of blue down here in the corner. And I guess most of my things have been reds, so maybe I'll get a little bit of reds going in here. Maybe build up a little bit more of that form, that form shadow into it. So if I take my cool little point, I can get right into that edge. The school paper towels are better than your home paper towels for the simple fact that they're a little bit cheaper, so they're not quite as soft. So they work